tonight is just
always playing the game that I love. I'm grateful, so I never take it for granted. And then also to be, playing with Kevin Durant, James Harden, just those names alone right now, just like we're having some fun. But it's not just about us, and I always say that. We'll have good nights, we'll have great nights, but it's how we galvanize this group together and how we sacrifice and compromise for the greater good. And that still remains to be seen. Obviously, one game's out the way, but I'm excited for what's to come.
It felt perfect. It felt like we belong together. It felt like this journey together is going to be fun. It was a tough first start, and especially it was an up and down game for us. But I like where we are.
We started off the game very, very, very good. Just the entire game, we just got to find a way to get stops when we need to. Offensively, they're not statistically, they're not a very good team, but they made some shots tonight. So we just got to watch some film, get better, and, chip away. We're still early in this process. It's only game one for all of us. So we got a long way to go, but we're still excited about, everything that's going on.
Here are the numbers for the big three. Huge numbers. Kevin Durant went for 38. He had 12 boards, 8 assists. Kyrie scored 37. James Harden with a triple-double, 21, 10 boards, and 12 assists. But they come up with the L in the end. Irving and Harden, both minuses on the nights, -7 and -5, respectively. Kevin Durant just a +2. So, GA, what do you take away from this first go-around of this Nets big three?
Well, they're as good as advertised offensively. They were brilliant at times on that side of the floor, and 90% from three. And so that's the issue is going to be the lack of practice time. It's hard to create good habits. It's hard to create culture. Mike D'Antoni, Steve Nash, those guys offensively, their minds, they're as good as it gets, coupled with that talent. But ultimately, you're only going to go as far as your defense takes you. And they're going to have nights where they don't shoot it quite the way they shot it tonight. And right now, defensively, they're challenged. Even in the first few games for Harden, without Kyrie, they just struggled on that side of the ball. So that's going to be it's got to be a priority for them. They've got to get better at it. They're just too good offensively to not be a factor in that Eastern Conference. But if their defense doesn't improve, it's going to be a challenge for them to ultimately win the East. And let's face it, that's what the goal is.
Yeah, CP, defense and depth were, for me at least, the two big questions when they put this trio together. They only got 10 points off their bench in this game. But I thought watching them play that they played basically ego-free, which is a good sign if you're a Nets fan, in that they worked together. They made the right passes generally and made the right basketball play, at least on the offensive end.
Yes, it seemed as though, especially, Kevin Durant and James Harden. You look at the stats, James Harden only took 14 shots, Kevin Durant 12 of 25. Kyrie shooting over 50% with 15 for 28, but where I start to look is Durant with 8 assists. We saw him improve throughout this year in creation. He's had a season high, career high in assists this season with the Nets. And early on in their first couple games of the season, I saw that the Nets were passing up good shots to get great ones. And with these three, sometimes bad shots for other people are great shots for these three because they're so dynamic and can score in so many different ways. But at the same time, you're seeing Kevin Durant with 8 assists, James Harden with 12 assists, and your point guard, Kyrie Irving, with 3. And to me, I think that was kind of where everybody saw this and saw a problem with possibly if we are going to poke holes in this offense. There were a number of times where Kyrie can make those tough shots. We've seen him make those tough shots. But down the stretch, it did seem like he was shooting a lot of fadeaways. The passes were maybe a little bit late, and that comes with timing and all of that. Also, being back in Cleveland, you have to think that he was pressing a little bit and wanted to do a little bit more. And as teammates, when somebody goes home or goes back to where they played before, you want to get them going and you want to, really get them going offensively. So I do think some of those kinks will be worked out offensively, but I'm with GA. They've got to figure out how to defend. And I do think that at some point they need to go out and get another big. because you don't want Kevin Durant to have to guard in the post night in and night out.
Right. They only played 4 off the bench tonight, and Reggie Perry is a rookie. Played about 10 minutes in this game. He had 4 points, but it's a lot to ask out of him for an elite level contending type team in the Eastern Conference. Colin Sexton, he spoiled the show for the big three with 42. CP, a lot of those shots were easy in terms of them being open, him having space, but you still got to make it go, and the young man was great tonight.
The young man down the stretch play shot after shot and just seemed to will his team to victory. And it was a lot of fun to watch him. We knew he competed, but to see him shoot that percentage from the field.
And the Cavaliers are 7-7 now.
And, they've dealt with a lot of injuries too, right? Darius Garland's still out. Sexton just recently came back, and, they compete. They have found a way to become a pretty proficient offensive team. I mean, when you look at the roster, you don't think that they're going to be that good offensively. But Sexton, and you guys saw that. I mean, that young man has got the heart of a lion. Like he just has a belief system that to be great in this league, you have to have. And the other thing, you saw it in that clip of him, that how small Brooklyn was, right? They had no rim protection, and they couldn't control the defensive backboard. And so remember, I think he got 2 offensive rebounds in that stretch. They were able to keep possessions alive, get multiple possessions, and that it creates a challenge for you. And they just fought. He was amazing. That's a guy. If you haven't watched him play a lot as an NBA fan, he's somebody you'd be willing to pay to go watch because he competes, he brings it, and his guys feed off of his energy. He walks in, and even in tonight's game, he felt like he was the best player on the floor. And he believes that, and I think that gives his team confidence. And this was a big-time win for them. Who'd ever thought they could win a game giving up 135 and the big three for Brooklyn scoring 96 points, and yet they still were able to win the game. That's pretty impressive.
And obviously Sexton's the star of the game, but he and the rest of the Cavaliers will have thanks for their bench. They only played 8 tonight, but Taurean Prince, Damian Dotson, and Jarrett Allen outscored the Brooklyn bench by 34 points in this game. And the Cavaliers upset the Brooklyn Big Three's debut tonight on their home floor. All right, that's not the only thing happening around the NBA.